That is the sound of silence, and it has arrived in Euro Truck Simulator too. On the 30th of May 2024, SCS released the Renault E-Tech, the first fully electric truck for ETS2, with a careful implementation. At the moment you can't buy it or own it in the game. Instead, it is exclusive to quick jobs with a max distance of 300 kilometers. Upon its release, it was met with some light criticism. Jesus Christ. Of course, there's the typical anti-EV crowd, but I'm not going to focus on them. Then you will also find the ones who didn't read the news post and are wondering why they can't find it in the truck stores. But then there are also those who have a question that is not quite so unreasonable. Why can't we buy and own it in the game yet? Now of course, SCS does give a short answer in the post. The in-game infrastructure just isn't ready for that. There are some players who repost with just allows to charge at the fuel pumps. Now that would of course be some sort of solution, but I think authenticity is very important to SCS, so they don't really want to do such a haphazard and unrealistic solution. And it's not like it's incredibly easy to just add charging stations to all the fuel stations. SCS say themselves that it will take extensive remodeling, and as you might imagine, there are a lot of fuel stations in the game, possibly hundreds. I saw someone suggest that it would surely take only a day of coding to implement charging points. Now, I'm not a programmer, but there's no way it's that easy. Certainly, it is probably not a very complex coding job, but coding also means a lot of testing, optimization, and a whole lot of other stuff than just adding a few lines of code. And then of course you need the models, and modeling objects probably takes way longer than a lot of people realize. Then they would have to be placed at hundreds of locations in the game map, which would mean altering a whole lot of other models in the game and potentially making adjustments to the terrain and environment to fit them. So no, it's not a day's coding job. But even beyond that, there are probably other problems to consider, such as the density of charging points. As I said, there are a lot of fuel stations in the game, but the question is if that density is even enough for fully electric trucks. With the current battery technology, electric trucks need to stop a lot more than internal combustion trucks. So perhaps there will also have to be charging points at resting spots, because it would also make sense to only take the mandatory rest in your driving if you can also fully charge your truck while you do that. And then you might still have to add additional rest stations to make sure that the likelihood of running out of charge is as minimal as possible. Now it's possible that the developers have already done a lot of calculations on this and already have a plan to solve it, or maybe it actually isn't a problem. That's just something that I'm sure they will have to look at if they haven't already. Another question is how job schedules will work with electric trucks. ETS2 only gives you a limited amount of time to complete deliveries without receiving monetary and experience penalties. For longer hauls, electric trucks will probably take longer to reach the destination due to regular stops for charging. So the player will need to be given more time, and then the question is how much. And with that also comes the question of maximum driving time. In ETS2 you are allowed to drive for up to 11 in-game hours, then you need to rest for several hours. But how about when you stop to charge your electric truck for a little while? Does that add more time to your allowed driving time? In that case, that is also something that the job schedules will have to keep in mind. Finally, what about hired drivers? Will their income be affected somehow if they use electric trucks? If deliveries take longer, they might not pull in as much profit. Or maybe they pull in equal or more profit since they don't have to pay the expensive diesel prices and simply use electricity. Or will they perhaps only focus on deliveries that can be completed without needing to charge along the way? Beyond this, I'm sure there are other issues that the developers need to solve before they feel ready to allow you to own electric trucks in the game. But in the meantime, there seems to already be mods out there that allow you to purchase the new Renault E-Tech truck. So for now, you'll just have to settle for giving the truck the occasional short drive with quick jobs, or use mods that provide a simple but probably unrealistic implementation of some sort of electric network. That is all for now, and of course remember to drive safe. Jesus Christ, that's cringe.